Dad. Is it true that the Conservative minority government under Prime Minister Stephen Harper is proposing even more corporate tax cuts? Didn't we just talk the other day about the Canadian deficit, which is on track to be $45 billion for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2011?
Quite right, son. The Conservatives want to reduce the corporate tax rate from 16.5% to 15%.
Dad, I've enjoyed our little talks, but I notice that you keep calling me son. But I'm a girl bear, Dad.
You don't say. Which one are you again?
Shebu, Dad. I'm Shebu.
Right, son, daughter. Shebu.
That's okay, Dad. But if I have gender identification issues in the future, I will blame you.
Quite right. Well, we were talking about the Conservatives' proposal to cut corporate taxes. Shebu.
Yes, Dad. What are the Conservatives thinking to cut corporate tax rates when our deficit is so high?
Well, Shebu, the Conservatives believe that if they cut corporate taxes, corporations will have more money to spend on things like factories and equipment for those factories, and will be able to hire more people. It's called supply-side economics, or, more appropriately, trickle-down economics.
Why trickle-down, Dad?
Because the idea is that the benefits of the corporate tax cut trickle down through the economy, benefiting everyone.
I see. Like honey trickling down from a bee's nest down the side of the tree. All the ants at the bottom get to eat the honey.
Well, yes, I guess you could put it like that.
Does it work, Dad? Does supply-side economics work?
There are many who believe it does, Shebu, but the evidence seems to be to the contrary. Consider that supply-side economics gained its greatest prominence during the Reagan years, when the Reagan administration began the frenzy of tax cutting in the United States. George H.W. Bush called this voodoo economics.
Dad. Voodoo economics. But isn't it true that George H.W. Bush continued the same policies, and his son, George W. Bush, went even further with tax cuts in the U.S.?
Yes, Shebu, you're right. There was a time when the U.S. budget was in surplus due to the fiscal responsibility of the Clinton administration, but the Bush administration put a quick end to U.S. budget surpluses.
Just like the Great government finally got the Canadian budget back into surplus, only to see the Harper administration adopt the same misguided policies of the Bush administration, including trickle-down economics.
Right, son. Shebu.
But Dad, isn't it true that the Liberal Party supported the Conservatives' corporate tax cuts from 22% in 2007 to 16.5%? Aren't they just as guilty as the Conservatives in cutting corporate taxes?
You could say so, Shebu. But the fact that they supported the last budget doesn't mean that cutting corporate taxes then was the right thing to do. And if they didn't support the last Conservative budget, that would have meant another election, which no one wanted.
What about the idea that supply-side economics stimulates the economy and results in job creation? Does it work, Dad? For example, will Gigantomart, where Grandpa Ebu works as a greeter, build more stores and hire more people?
Well, it might. But I think it's more likely that Gigantomart will just send the money it saves on its taxes to its head office in the U.S. It might pay out some of the savings to Canadian shareholders in the form of dividends, but who knows what those Canadian shareholders do with the money? They could just use it for their next 2-week vacation in Mexico, for all we know, and there would be no real benefit to Canada.
So, Dad, you're saying that you think supply-side economics is just a theory that right-wing politicians have adopted to justify tax cuts, and that it doesn't work in the real world?
I don't think it would work, even if you had 1,000 economists waving their hands for 1,000 years, son. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, Dad. So what's going to happen? Are the Conservatives going to get their way again and cut corporate taxes even more?
Well, Shebu, this will be included in the next budget. The Liberals, NDP and Bloc Québécois might decide that a further corporate tax cut is just too irresponsible of the Conservatives and may defeat the budget. If they do, then Canada will have another election.
Another election? What fun. That's why we're seeing all of those Conservative Party attack ads on TV.
Yes, Shebu. Precisely. Canadians will once again get the chance to throw those rascals, the Conservatives, out of office.